Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Isla Napali after this crazy week of Planet Zoo content spam, I want to say. We are back in the island. We have been playing a little bit on live stream, so yeah, today will be quite a huge progress of some sort, but you're going to see this in a second now. So enjoy today's episode and yeah, sit back, relax and just wait for what's coming in now. What did I even say just a few seconds ago? I don't even know how I ended this sentence. Anyway, so yeah, as I said, today's episode will be quite long, at least in terms for Napali, because usually I try to make these episodes around the 15 minutes-ish things, and they are usually sped up by like 8 times, I guess, around. I think this is where I found the sweet spot, to make it not too quick, but also to have some progress in and not make it too boring. Sometimes I even go down to 6. This is mostly when I had a very, very, very good go, when I'm just, going into the game, listening to music and being completely on my own, just really go into the tunnel and be in a role. This is usually where I have a super quick progress in the game, and then it's really necessary to slow it down a bit more. But we did this again. The whole process today you're gonna see is made on stream. So if you want to catch these Isla Napali live streams, make also sure to connect your social accounts to my Twitch account. No, I'm just kidding, but make sure to follow on Twitch as well, because I am usually streaming a lot more on Twitch. This is mainly down to the reason that I do enjoy Twitch way more in terms of live streaming than YouTube. I can't really describe it. It's kind of a feeling thing. It just is, I don't know, it might also be just the reason that I got used to it, because I started streaming on Twitch. And I do feel this is way more comfortable, for me at least, and that's why I'm sticking to it. The cool bit is that I can always transport the whole stuff back here onto the YouTube channel. I'm always, trying to put in some more love, because, what you see is not exactly from the live stream. So I do also record the footage at the same time as the live stream, so it's not the footage from the live stream. So I do deliver this in full HD, which is why I do also record it while streaming. It's pretty heavy on my computer, but as long as it can handle this, that's totally fine, and I'm able to give you the good content here. Also, I'm doing the voiceovers, so basically it's kind of the same as if I would just play it on my own and then make a time-lapse out of it, or a speed build. Just because I'm streaming doesn't mean that I don't put as much love into it. The progress is just a little bit slower, but on the other hand side, it's just way more fun, and we got some good decisions on the get-go. So if you want to shape this whole thing together with me, it also makes sense to be in the live streams, because I'm always trying to get into a discussion in the chat as well, what is going on with the build and what we can improve and stuff. So again, also in this build you're gonna see today, there's a lot of stuff that went into it due to the chat. So for example, some very good information about fish, you will see at a very late stage of this video, went into it, and I am not a fish expert, I want to add here. So the good thing is that there was someone in the chat who seems to be a fish expert, or at least who does know more than I do, which 99% of this freaking planet are. But the reason is that this helped me quite a bit, because I claim that this spark is kind of hyper-realism, so in this kind of sense this also had to be hyper-realistic. However, what are we going to do today? 5 minutes in, nearly 5 minutes in, and I am still talking about weird other stuff. So for those of you who are new to my channel, and fortunately I can say these are quite a few people, I just want to quickly wrap up what Isla Napali is. I'm really keeping it short here, so hopefully you're going to listen into this video until this very point in time. If not, it's a recap for everyone else joined later. So Isla Napali is meant to be a little theme park that is sitting on a small Hawaiian island, which is somewhere located around Kauai Island, which is the most green and oldest of the islands of Hawaii. And the idea about this park park is that it has been created in several steps. So first of all, this island was just a little island where you know, the natives used to be fishing, and they had some small fishing huts and a few houses to live here. The island is not quite big enough to kind of make a town on it, but there is a little bit of local industry going on there. Then during the Second World War, it has been used as an outpost for the US military, and afterwards it has been translated into some sort of botanical garden island, which was made for the early tourists in this area. However, towards the 60s, 70s, it has been more and more obvious that this park is meant to be a bit more than only a botanical garden. So the locals decided to go for a bit more of a theme park approach, and this is where the old part of the park comes into play, because the old part of the park was mainly kind of a combination of a botanical garden and a somewhat cheap budget theme park. It was then only until the beginning of the 90s where the park really expanded upon the fact that, you know, mass tourism was a thing now. Flying got more and more cheap, and so this is why the Napali island got into a proper theme park, and this is why most of the changes happened around the 90s, the year 1990 and up until 1999, and then got more and more modern towards the 2000s and stuff. So that's the history, and so this means also that we have like a two areas in this park. We have the one old area, which is way less focused on a real theme park in terms of how you would lay out a theme park. It's more focused on using the already existing botanical garden and fisherman's kind of town and turn this into somewhat of a budget theme park. While the more modern area of this park, which is basically season 1 of Isla Napali, so if you want to watch this, there's always a link to it, and a playlist is also available, so you can watch it. But this is the modern part of Isla Napali, which is, I think, which can be said ended with the installment of Wavebreaker, which is the super modern B&M dive coaster that has been potentially added somewhere in the mid-2010s. But yeah, that's the story about Isla Napali. So this is then the entrance towards the old area what we are building over here. So this building you can see I'm tackling at the moment is the entrance building to the Swift drivers, and to be fair, usually this kind of flat ride doesn't need a proper building or doesn't have that big of a building. However, it could be completely covered in a building for sure, but you know, usually you wouldn't have that crazy themed queue. But as I said, this is not a normal area, so this building over here potentially has been something completely different. So this could have been a storage building, it could also have been just a little bit of a fisherman's pub where they used to meet, but it could also be like a service building from the botanical area. So, or the botanical garden area, I should say. So these buildings, as we tried to build the story up, already existed. So they haven't been built for the flat ride itself. It was the other way around. The flat ride has been placed in an area where there are buildings that can be used for the purpose of serving as a queue cover or as an entrance building or whatever. So for example, what you do see a few times in the background of this video is the wooden coaster, and the wooden coaster has been built from the main kind of town center hall, which was the town hall for the botanical gardens, so the biggest building where the main exhibit was held in. So that's where for example, the coaster got into, while the log flume that is also in this area has been put into an old bunker of the Second World War period of this island. So yeah, there's always a little bit of a story going on behind these buildings. They're not just here without a purpose. So hyperrealism goes also into the story of those buildings, and not only into the architectural style or the realism aspect or the proportions, the sizing or whatever. It's also always, we're always trying to focus on a really kind of realistic attempt on the background story. I feel like with most of the things we have done a really good job. Some little things I'm not entirely happy with, but the problem with those mostly is that, you know, it's quite hard to find a suitable story for what we've done there, and it kind of is already tied into this whole thing as much as possible. And yeah, well, there's not such a thing that we can use as a proper story, but I'm totally fine with that at this point in time. Well, yeah, so that's halfway through this video. You can see I'm still tackling a few of these items. I have to say that this is one of the buildings I I was really unsure about, and I was really trying a few things here and there, trying different pieces, and then someone came up with the idea of putting a waterfall in here. I quite had a struggle to find the real positioning of this piece, and you can see that I needed to put this waterfall VFX thing, as you can see, which is looking weirdly like a soundbar, inside the building. Fortunately enough, there was some space left, and I just covered it up with some rocks for the moment, but I'm not entirely sure if I will keep it with the rocks, because I feel like there could be a better solution. Maybe just a planter, or maybe just even a box or something of some kind, because the water has to go somewhere anyways, and maybe this is kind of the pumping system. We still do not have the water pipe connection in this area, so we still have to do this, but I'm super happy with how it turns out for the moment. Yeah, what you can see is also that I tried to make this like a bit more of a little plaza area once you get into this new area. So previously it has also been only the transition area rather than really kind of a plaza or whatever, which was mainly due to the fact that I just wanted to lay out a connection for the sake of having one and testing the gas flow. That was basically the main reason behind this, but now I wanted to make sure that this area really feels like a separate area, so that there is really there is something dividing those two areas. This is also why I must say that I'm so happy that we decided to put the backstage access in between here. So as you can see, I'm putting this wall down now as a little bit of a viewing or kind of a view blocker for the backstage area. So where you've seen the bus passing by a few times, this is where the backstage area will be located. And you can also see these doors I used in there, where the bus, when it's passing by, the doors are opening and the bus can just go easily by. That's what we have there. We also need to put in kind of a traffic light system, so for the guests potentially, that when there is like a bus coming, that the guests do see that they shouldn't go on this road right now. And just as a little side note, I found this very interesting vent piece from the Ghostbusters DLC. It's so jank, it's so good. I don't know why I haven't seen it before, but it's just insanely good. I will spam this in all the backstage areas because it's just looking so dope. It's like a million times better than the other air conditioning units we have used previously. So it's way more ugly. It's way more desaturated. It's having a very, very poor texture. Like, it's a great texture, but it's looking very bad. And if you're asking why I'm so stoked about a piece that is so jank, this is basically because we are lacking those pieces in the game quite a bit, and sometimes you just need it, especially in Ireland like this is not always having the most nice buildings. It's sometimes they use what they have, and this leads to some architectural misconsumptions or maybe misbuildings, whatever I want to call it, but sometimes they are just using what they have at hand, and this leads to weird styles, and also the reason for using only the pieces available. That's also the reason why they would put any air conditioning unit they have, rather than going for a proper new one or whatever. They use an old one and a broken down one or whatever from Yamaha or so. I don't know, it's the only one I know that is kind of making fun of anyways. But yeah, I think you get the point. So apparently I was trying to build this little plaza over here, which at the moment doesn't really serve any bigger purpose than being there as a little bit of a resting area. You can see that I put a little pond next to it, where we'll have some fishies in, which is again the reason why I was already explaining that at the beginning of the episode. I had some good comments from Mr. Kane himself that I shouldn't put saltwater and sweetwater fishies together, which is what I ended up doing at the beginning. But then I just deleted one of the I think it was a carp, which is not a sweetwater animal. So yeah, or fish I should say, which is an animal in fact, but yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm happy how this area turned out in terms of looks and foliage. I think foliage work is still my most favorite relaxing work in this world. It's just so super satisfying to see how the areas are getting so much more lively throughout the foliage that you can put in. And it kind of looks so much more finished at a glance, and I'm still very much confident that we have too less foliage in this park. the thing is, it is in Garden Island, and I really was browsing through all my pictures from Hawaii. And oh, to be fair, it was only 1 year ago, like literally today, a year ago, I had my first proper day on Kauai Island. So a year ago, we had this wonderful helicopter fly over Kauai Island. This is so unreal that this is like 1 year ago. Damn it, this is so crazy. I just can't believe it's 1 year ago. Damn it. Okay, well, never mind. But obviously, this gave me some real good inspiration for this series, and without this, would have never been Napali Island. And yeah, I think Napali Island, I owe a lot to this project. I think it really boiled the channel down to what it is: a great community coming together, trying to thrive for the best, and being creative in Planet Coaster to find the most realistic but also most crazy ideas to deliver stuff. And I think this is really what this whole project showed, what I am, but also the game is capable of. So yeah, quite a few cool things. But yeah, you can see we are now moving back to the other building, and let me already spoil you a little bit. We will also have a look into lighting in this episode. I know this is weird because usually I totally forget about this, or maybe let's put it another way around. I totally not do it instead of forgetting it. I keep forgetting it, but not in terms of in this episode, because usually I do the lighting later. But I felt like I really wanted to make this area completely finished, and this is why I decided to go for lighting as well. But as you can see, I'm super happy with the tree we decided for in the end, because I feel like this is something we are, as I said, we are lacking a lot. And the older part of the park will definitely feature a lot more foliage, so a lot of stuff will be way more hidden away than it is in the modern part. Because the thing is, a garden island means that there is a lot of foliage. I said this multiple times throughout this episode now, and yeah, it's still way too less green. Even though I have to say my frame rate will potentially not be that happy with even more foliage, but we already reached a point where I'm not that much, I'm not that much concerned about it anyways, because we are nearly done and the performance is somewhat okay still. So yeah, with Cheat Engine at latest, I can do quite a good finishing up of this project, and who knows, maybe in the future I'll get some better hardware and we can run the park in an even better setting. But for the moment, I'm still happy. I still have like solid 30 plus FPS on medium, even with the game running, even with like a few thousand guests in, and that's totally fine. Maybe not riding a coaster though, but for the most part and making cinematics, that should be totally fine. But yeah, as you can see, as always, we need some more backstage access. I mean, I was struggling a little bit if I wanted to put this door here or not, but for the fact that there is like this garage kind of-ish door where the bus comes through, you don't always want to have your staff members go through this door, so it makes sense to also have like a side door which gives you access to this backstage area. That's why I was putting it here, and I feel like it's the right decision. Like after building it, I felt confident that this is exactly the right position. Yeah, last but not least, in terms of what we have in this area, I decided to go for a vending machine. Again, this is one of those things I feel like we were lacking a little bit too much in the park. So lately I was putting more of them down, but in a real theme park you see them like basically everywhere, and in every area you find them. So yeah, I decided to go for one here and made a little bit more special design. I made a little bit of a kind of, it's not even a bar, but it's just like something next to it that looks also quite cool. Obviously, as always in this hyperrealism project, we need some energy supply, which is made with the cables, but here's what I was just talking about. I made some napkin dispensers to the side of it, and also put some cups in here. I made these kind of cup holders where you used to grab a cup and then put it in, and I don't even know if this machine would be to provide you already with a cup, but if you do need another one, you can just grab it from over here. And then as always, in every good area, there needs to be one cup that is on the ground, because people will obviously leave it where it is. And then also we need to put the trash bin right next to it, because people always throw stuff just literally like 10 centimeters off a bin and they don't feel like putting it back into the bin. This also has to be in a hyperrealism project, otherwise it isn't. So yeah, that's now the last bit of this episode. As already spoiled a few minutes ago, we look into some proper lighting this time, and I wanted to build a custom lantern, because I felt also we used too many of the in-game lanterns in the rest of the park, and I wanted to have in this old area a bit more of a self-made lantern. I'm not entirely sure what I think about the design. I tried something different here. I am quite happy with it, but I'm not like 100% happy with it. So maybe I'm going to change it again. But I felt like it is kind of a cool design because it's a bit more bulky. It's a bit more wood heavy, if that's even a word. Like I think it just adds a little bit more to the area by having this bit of a bigger pillar in between, which I'm totally sure Aliyah will like a bit. So yeah, it's kind of cool looking with these iron beams also around it. I don't know if I need to rotate them even more, but yeah. As always, water is kind of a little bit of a problem here, so I needed to use the ambient area lights to make sure that the water is also properly lit. There's no way else we can do it, so yeah, that's why. And then the last bit I made are these little details on the bench area over here, which I totally love from like cities. This kind of main inspiration is like from bigger city plazas that used to have stuff like that as well on the ground, where there's some steps or bigger steps where, you know, people used to chill in summer times and stuff. That was my main inspiration here. Anyways, we're at the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the content over the course of the week, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one. Until then, make sure to check out all the other content, because there's quite a bit of cool stuff going on. And I hope to see you then again. I put you in now, or here's got a screenshot of what we've done so you can see the final result. And yeah, we are going to see each other in the next one. Until then, have a great time and a great weekend. Goodbye. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you appreciate that. And now a special thanks also to all the people supporting me here on that channel, making this all possible. You can see that on the left hand side right now. And also, if you want to see more of my stuff, make sure to click that card on the right top now. And if you want to stick around, make sure to hit that sub button, which is on the bottom right of the screen. If you want to see stuff on my social media, sneak peeks and stuff like that, it is on the bottom left on the screen. And yeah, I hope to see you again in the next episode. Until then, enjoy your time, guys, and bye.